This is one of my favorite songs on the project because I feel it has some of the strongest verses. So let's get into it.
Yo. Worldwide Beats, what up?
Let me wax poetic like Miyagi with the bonsai. This kicks us off with the speaker saying that he's going to become verbose and speak in a way that's poetic. Also, wax ties into the Mr. Miyagi reference from the Karate Kid because Mr. Miyagi famously has the wax on, wax off technique that he teaches Daniel's son.
Wax on, hot. Wax off.
Additionally, this references the specific scene in which Mr. Miyagi is teaching Daniel about meditation through the act of pruning a bonsai tree.
How do I know if my picture's the right one?
If come from inside you, always right on.
Stretching out the lungs in the morning, greet the sunshine. Now, this is the speaker literally taking a breath, aka stretching out his lungs in the morning and kind of kicking us off into the rest of the verse. Additionally, this references a Burns verse on the Mayday song Unplug, where he says,
"When I get up in the morning, gotta greet the sun and stretch out these lungs."
And I always thought that was a very beautiful image, so I wanted to pay homage to it there. Don't ask why. Don't neglect the back and buys. Sometimes I spread the lats and fly around until it's nap time. Now, after the speaker has aligned himself with Mr. Miyagi as this kind of wise figure that's going to give us some of his thoughts throughout the song, he suggests that we should kind of just take his word for it, and not ask where we're going, just enjoy the journey along the way. And he starts his advice off by suggesting to the listener that they should take care of their bodies. They should work out, exercise, those types of things, and not neglect their back and buys. He is not neglecting his body because his lats are so big that he could literally fly around on them if he spread them, aka flex them. So this is also him literally and figuratively flexing on the listener. Not very godly, but I'm baptized. Take away my sins, I'm padding more onto the statline. This is talking about the idea that he's not a godly person, although he is baptized, which is something that's typically done to you before you are cognizant enough to decide whether or not you want to be part of an organized religion. Also, the point of baptism is essentially to absolve a newborn baby of their original sin, which they are born into the world with. And he rejects this notion, basically saying he's going to continue to sin. He's going to add more onto his stat line. Now, this also kind of leads us into this sports reference where people consider a game in which you're playing a weaker team a stat patter because it's easy to add stats to your line. You can make a lot of shots, or you can get a lot of hits, or whatever sport you're playing, you can add some good stats to your resume. Ballin and I'm bass like the country's favorite pastime. Stalling at the plate, I'll get my chance, there ain't no halftime. Now, this obviously breaks apart the word baseball into ballin' and based, and the speaker continues to kind of flex, right, and say he's ballin', he's really good at what he does, or he's making a lot of money in doing that, and he's based in that he's logical, or he approaches things in a logical manner. He also suggests that baseball is a based sport, very logical sport, and refers to it as America's favorite pastime, which is another way that we call baseball in America. Additionally, he talks about the fact that in baseball, you cannot run out the clock on your opponent the way that you can in, say, football or basketball by holding on to the ball. In baseball, you literally have to give your opponent a chance to be offensive, right? Even if you're on defense and the opponent's down, you can't just pitch around them. You have to throw strikes. So stalling at the plate, right? I'll wait my turn because I have time to do that. I'll get my chance. And there's no halftime in baseball the way that there are in others, so there's going to be no break. Now, this leads us right into the break, ironically, and he calls out the fact that there is kind of a break in baseball. There's a seventh inning stretch, which typically happens between the top and the bottom of the seventh inning, and this is when viewers of baseball are encouraged to kind of stand up, walk around, stretch their legs, etc. And this is also kind of a breathing point in the song where the listener gets a little bit of a reprieve from the onslaught of bars. Now, similar to baseball, in that this break is not very much longer than the other half-inning breaks throughout the game. he's like, you know what? Let's just get back into it.
There was a 7-inning stretch, though. You know what? Fuck it. Back at it. Crack good or bad, exact my wrath.